Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes life introduces us to people who come not to uplift us, not to love us, but simply to break us. Yes, some people only come to destroy you. They arrive like gentle rain but bring a storm within. At first, they speak sweet words, wear kind smiles and promise safe spaces. But slowly, you begin to shrink in their presence. Your light dims, your laughter fades, and your soul starts whispering for help. And you ask yourself, why me? But my dear, the ones who come to destroy you are not a curse. Mago, they are life's harshest blessings. Because when someone tries to break your wings, you learn how to walk. And when they try to chain your feet, you learn how to fly. They teach you not who you are, but who you are not. They break the mirror you once used to see yourself, only for you to finally build your own reflection, piece by piece. They are not here to ruin your life. They are here to reveal it. So don't waste your tears asking why someone hurt you. Thank them for showing you your strength. Don't seek revenge. Heal. Don't let bitterness poison your heart. Let it blossom into wisdom. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every downfall has one purpose: to awaken the warrior in you. Remember this. People can only destroy the version of you that depends on them. The moment you rise whole and free with no need for their validation, they lose their power. You are not what they said. You are not what they tried to reduce you to. You are the fire they couldn't extinguish, the spirit they couldn't break. So the next time someone enters your life with destruction in their hands, smile. Because you now know you are not fragile. You are forged, and forged things do not fear the flame. Thank you. Some people enter our lives with intentions that are anything but kind. They bring chaos instead of calm, confusion instead of clarity, and hurt instead of healing. At first, it may feel like a personal failure, like perhaps we welcomed the wrong person, trusted too easily, or ignored the warning signs. But over time, we begin to understand that certain individuals are not accidents. They are painful lessons in disguise. They are not detours in our journey, but are placed intentionally on our path to teach us things no peaceful experience ever could. These people, the ones who seem to come only to destroy, are often the ones who spark the deepest growth within us. Their presence forces us to confront our insecurities. When someone undermines our confidence or constantly points out our flaws, we begin to question ourselves. But through that self-doubt, a fire is lit. Not a fire of anger or revenge, but one of realization. We start to see what we have been tolerating and how low we have been setting our standards. These people show us often through pain where our boundaries should be, where our self-respect needs reinforcement, how deeply we must protect our peace. What's most powerful about these destructive encounters is the transformation they trigger. When someone attempts to tear us down, it forces us to choose either to crumble or to rise. And many of us, in our own quiet ways, choose to rise. That rise is not dramatic. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, silent unfolding of strength. It's waking up one morning and deciding not to answer that call. It's choosing solitude over manipulation. It's understanding that silence can be louder than shouting, and walking away can be braver than staying to fight. Through these experiences, we also learn to identify our own patterns. We begin to understand why we attracted such people in the first place. Maybe we confused love with attention. Maybe we were too eager to please, too afraid to say no, too willing to accept less than we deserved. The people who try to destroy us become mirrors. Painful, cracked mirrors that force us to look at parts of ourselves we've been avoiding. And once we see those parts, we can start to heal them. We can stop blaming others and begin the real work of rebuilding from within. One of the most revealing aspects of destructive relationships is the clarity they leave behind. When someone exits your life after trying to dim your light, you begin to see everything more vividly. Your values, your dreams, your non-negotiables. That clarity is a gift earned through struggle. It's the kind of insight that peaceful relationships sometimes can't offer, because growth rarely happens in comfort. It's in discomfort, in challenge, in disappointment that our character is truly formed. These people may never apologize. They may never acknowledge the harm they caused. But in the silence they leave behind, in the emotional wreckage we learn to clean up on our own, we find a version of ourselves we may never have discovered otherwise. A stronger version, a wiser version. One that doesn't just survive, but learns, adapts, and refuses to be destroyed again. Pain has a way of arriving uninvited, often disguised in the form of betrayal, heartbreak, loss, or disappointment. It comes quietly or suddenly, but when it hits, it leaves a mark that's hard to ignore. For many, the immediate response to pain is to question its purpose. Why did this happen? What did I do to deserve this? But as time passes and wounds begin to speak, we start to realize that pain is not a punishment. It's a teacher. It does not come to destroy us. It comes to show us something we couldn't have seen in comfort or ease. Pain strips away illusions. When you are hurt by someone you trusted, the illusion of safety or idealism you once held is broken. That breaking, though brutal, reveals the truth, shows you who people really are, what you've been overlooking and what truly matters to you. You begin to recognize patterns you've repeated, red flags you ignored, and boundaries you never enforced. This clarity is not something joy or peace often gives. It's pain that forces you to sit with yourself, to ask the hard questions, and to face the answers honestly. Pain also teaches resilience. Before we go through heartbreak, we often believe we want to survive it. We fear it so much that we stay in places that hurt us, simply because we don't think we'll be okay without them. But when the pain finally comes, when the person leaves, when the friendship ends, when the betrayal is revealed, we are left with no choice but to endure. And through that endurance, we discover an inner strength we didn't know existed. We learn how to hold ourselves when no one else is around, how to rebuild when everything falls apart, how to find calm in our own presence. One of the most profound lessons pain teaches is self-awareness. If something breaks your heart, it forces you to examine why it mattered so much to you. Why did their words have such power? Why did their absence feel like the end of the world? These questions point inward. Pain doesn't just make you analyze what went wrong with others, it makes you analyze what needs healing within yourself. Maybe it's abandonment wounds from childhood, or a deep fear of rejection, or a tendency to seek validation externally. Pain uncovers these hidden layers and demands that you address them. Another gift pain offers is empathy. People who have suffered deeply often become more compassionate. When you've experienced loss or betrayal, you begin to understand others who carry pain. You stop judging so quickly. You listen more deeply. You feel more connected to the human experience because you've lived through its rawest parts. That empathy makes you a better friend, a better partner, a better human being. Pain softens what pride often hardens. It humbles you, not in weakness, but in wisdom. Pain also shifts priorities. What used to matter, superficial success, the approval of others, material gain, suddenly loses its grip. When you've known real emotional pain, your values begin to change. You start cherishing peace, authenticity, simplicity, and love that is safe and consistent. You let go of chasing what doesn't nourish your soul. In a way, pain detoxes your life. It removes what was never real, never kind, never meant for you, and leaves space for something deeper, more aligned, and more meaningful. Ultimately, pain becomes the point of transformation. It is the moment where your old self dies and your new self begins to take shape. It doesn't ask for permission to enter, and it doesn't always leave quietly, but it leaves behind wisdom that no textbook, no sermon, no mentor could have provided. Pain becomes the fire in which your strength is forged, your purpose is revealed, and your story truly begins to matter. So often in life, we allow others to shape the way we see ourselves. We carry the weight of their words, their judgments, and their rejection like permanent tattoos on our identity. When someone we love criticizes us, we take it to heart. When someone betrays us, we begin to wonder what we did wrong. When someone abandons us, we question our worth. Slowly, without even realizing it, we start to believe that we are what others say we are, that we are not enough, that we are too much, that we are unlovable, unworthy, or broken beyond repair. But the truth is, their opinion is not your definition. No one else has lived your story. No one else has felt your fears, fought your battles, or carried your silent struggles. So why should they have the power to define you? People project their own pain, their own insecurities, and their own limitations onto others. When someone calls you weak, it may be because they are afraid of your strength. When someone tries to make you feel small, it's often because they feel invisible in their own lives. And when someone refuses to see your value, it's not because you lack it, It's because they are blind to their own. You are not the abandonment you experienced. You are not the failure someone threw in your face. You are not the mistakes you made in your lowest moments. You are not the labels that were unfairly placed on you by people who never took the time to understand you. You are more than the version of you that others created to make themselves feel better. There is a truth about who you are that no one else can touch, but you have to be willing to claim it for yourself. It's easy to get lost in the noise. The world is full of people ready to tell you what you should be, how you should act, what success looks like, what beauty means, and what your worth is based on. But all of that is external, it's temporary. And if you allow your self-image to be built on such fragile foundations, you will always feel uncertain, always at the mercy of someone else's opinion. True self-worth is built from the inside out. It is grounded not in what others see, but in what you know deep within yourself. The journey to reclaiming your identity from the hands of others is not easy. It requires unlearning. It requires courage. You must go back and confront all the moments when someone made you feel like you weren't enough, and remind yourself that their words were a reflection of them, not of you. You must stop repeating their voice in your head and replace it with your own, gentler, wiser, more honest. You have to make space for your own truth to grow. Sometimes the people who try to define you do so because they are afraid of what would happen if you discovered your real power. They benefit from your silence, your insecurity, your hesitation. Because when you rise, fully unapologetically, they can no longer control your story. And perhaps that is what they fear the most. Your worth does not decrease because someone else failed to recognize it. Your light does not dim because someone closed their eyes. Your truth remains your truth, even when others deny it, even when they try to twist it, even when they walk away from it. You are not here to fit into their narrow view. You are here to grow beyond it, to write your own narrative, to stand in your own reflection without needing their approval. When you stop looking to others to tell you who you are, something shifts inside. You begin to see yourself more clearly. You begin to treat yourself with more kindness. And you begin to choose relationships, environments, and experiences that reflect the truth of who you've always been. Strong, worthy, and whole. Revenge is a natural impulse. When someone hurts us, disrespects us, or breaks our trust, there's a fire that rises within us, a desire to make them feel the pain they caused. We think that if they suffer the same way we did, we might finally find peace. We imagine scenarios where they come to regret everything they did, where they see us thriving without them, where they beg for forgiveness that we don't grant. These thoughts are loud, especially in the early stages of pain, when anger and betrayal are still fresh. But over time, as emotions settle and clarity begins to surface, we realize that revenge does not heal. It only keeps us chained to the person and the wound that hurt us. Healing, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't seek to prove anything. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't perform for others. Healing happens in moments no one else sees. In the mornings when you choose to get out of bed despite the heaviness in your chest. In the nights when you cry, but don't let the tears turn into bitterness. In the days when you decide to take back your power, not by hurting them, but by choosing peace for yourself. That is true strength. It takes much more courage to heal than it does to seek revenge. Choosing healing over revenge means you understand that your energy is sacred. Every moment spent trying to get back at someone is a moment stolen from your own growth. When your mind is occupied with thoughts of revenge, you are still emotionally tied to the person who wounded you. They continue to control your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior. In that sense, they still have power over you. But when you shift your focus to healing, when you invest your energy into your well-being, your peace, your joy, you take that power back. You reclaim your story. There's also a quiet dignity in healing. It doesn't scream for validation. It doesn't need applause. It simply allows you to move forward with grace. When people see that you didn't retaliate, that you didn't sink to their level, that you chose growth over pettiness, they see your strength. But more importantly, you begin to see your own strength. You no longer need to be reactive because you have become centered. Their chaos no longer moves you because you have found your own calm. Revenge often brings momentary satisfaction, but it doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't unbreak your heart. It doesn't undo the betrayal. It doesn't restore the love or trust that was lost. In some cases, it only adds more pain, more regret, more entanglement. Healing, though slower and sometimes more painful in the beginning, leads to real closure. It allows you to process the pain, to understand it, to grow from it, and eventually to let it go. It brings peace not only with the situation, but with yourself. There is a kind of power in being able to say, yes, they hurt me, but I will not let that hurt define me. That statement is not about denying the pain, it's about transcending it. It's about choosing not to be a victim, not to let your life be a response to someone else's cruelty. It's about rewriting the story on your terms. When you heal, you don't just recover what was lost. You create something entirely new. You build resilience. You develop deeper self-respect. You grow wiser in your choices, more intentional in your relationships, more protective of your peace. The greatest revenge, if it can be called that, is becoming a version of yourself that their heart would never destroy. Not because you suppressed the pain, but because you faced it, worked through it, and emerged on the other side, whole, rounded, and free. There's a deep and quiet power in learning to validate yourself. But true strength is not about avoiding the fire. It's about walking through it and coming out changed, wiser, and more grounded. The people who seem the strongest are not those who have never been broken, but those who have been shattered and still chose to rebuild. They didn't escape the fire. They were shaped by it. They didn't deny their pain. They grew through it. Adversity has a way of revealing who you truly are. When everything is going well, when life is smooth, when people are kind, it's easy to feel confident and centered. But it's in the moments of loss, betrayal, failure, and heartbreak that your character is tested. The fire strips away the surface. It burns off the masks, the illusions, the roles you've been playing to fit in or keep peace. What's left is raw, real, and often unfamiliar. It's in that vulnerability that you meet your true self, the version of you that doesn't rely on approval, that doesn't hide behind perfection, that learns to survive and eventually to thrive. There's a quiet transformation that happens when you're forced to face your darkest moments. At first, the pain feels unbearable. You resist it, fight it, try to numb it. But eventually, if you let yourself feel it, it begins to teach you. You learn that you are more resilient than you thought. To discover strength in your ability to keep going, even when everything inside you says give up. You find courage in choosing to hope again, to love again, to believe in something again. That strength isn't loud. It doesn't always look impressive. But it's real, it's lasting, and it cannot be taken away. The fire also teaches you what truly matters. When life falls apart, the things you once obsessed over, the opinions of others, the pursuit of perfection, the need to control everything, begin to feel small. You start to see the beauty in simplicity, in stillness, in moments of real connection. You value peace over performance. You stop chasing people who don't see your worth. You learn to listen to your own voice, trust your own path, and build a life that feels good on the inside, even if it doesn't always look perfect on the outside. Pain has a way of making you more compassionate, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You begin to soften where you used to be hard. You forgive yourself for not knowing better, for staying too long, for breaking down. You stop measuring your value by how strong you appear, and start honoring how deeply you feel, how bravely you continue, how honestly you show up. The fire humbles you, but it also empowers you. You no longer need to pretend you have it all together, because you've learned that your worth isn't in the image you project, it's in the truth you carry. What's most powerful about being forged in fire is that you become unshakable in a way that only experience can teach. You're not afraid of being broken anymore, because you know you've survived worse. You don't run from discomfort, because you've learned how to sit with it and grow from it. You stop fearing failure, because you've seen how it can lead to new beginnings. You carry a quiet confidence, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that says, I've walked through flames, and I'm still here. This kind of strength doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to shout or seek validation. It simply is. It exists in the way you hold yourself, the way you rise each day, the way you keep showing up with grace and grit. You are not unbreakable because nothing has hurt you. You are unbreakable because everything did and you kept going. So to those who tried to break you, to those who came only to destroy, you survived them. Not only that, you rose. You took the pain, the betrayal, the rejection, and you turned it into power. You didn't let their actions define you. You didn't let their absence destroy you. You didn't let their noise drown out your voice. You healed, you grew, and now you shine with a light they can never dim. Let them watch. Because the most beautiful revenge is living well, rising higher, and becoming everything they tried to keep you from being. And the most powerful truth, you were never theirs to break.